All right, let's dive into something really cool. It's shaking things up for large language models, LLMs. It's all about making them super fast and able to deal with tons of information way more than ever before. You probably heard about how amazing LLMs are, but they kind of hit a wall when they try to work with really long pieces of text.
It's true.
It's like, imagine trying to read an entire library just to answer one question. That's kind of what it's been like for these LLMs, at least until now.
Yeah, and that problem, it's getting even bigger because we're seeing these longer prompts and outputs. It's just becoming like the standard now.
Oh, totally.
With models like, Kini, Claude, and Gemini.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, there's this rise of chain of thought reasoning
Right.
in LLMs, which means they got to like hold and process even more information.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
It's like we're asking them to write like these epic novels, but at the same time, they're juggling like a dozen different plot lines.
Exactly.
But luckily, thankfully, there's some brilliant researchers out there.
Yeah.
And they've come up with a solution.
They have.
It's called MoBA, short for Mixture of Block Attention.
Mixture of block attention.
That's right. So MoBA, it's really like a fundamental shift in how these LLMs are approaching, attention.
Right.
Instead of analyzing every single word, MoBA, it's like, imagine a super efficient librarian.
I like that.
Right? They can just like scan this whole text, pinpoint those most relevant sections.
Yeah.
Before even diving into like all the nitty-gritty details.
Right.
So it's not just reading faster.
No.
It's actually reading smarter.
Exactly.
Which I imagine is, a total game changer for things like, analyzing really long documents or trying to comprehend like some crazy research paper.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and the really amazing thing about MoBA is that all this efficiency, you're not sacrificing accuracy.
You're not losing anything.
No. In a lot of cases, it actually matches or even beats those traditional, like, full attention models.
So it's doing better?
In some cases, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I am curious, like, how does this actually work?
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get, like, too technical here, but can you just give me, like, a high-level overview? Like, what is the magic behind MoBA?
Sure. So imagine, right? You're given this really complex scientific paper, and you're told you got to understand it. You're probably not going to go like line by line, right?
Right. No.
You're going to skim the abstract. You'll look at their headings. You'll look at maybe some key paragraphs.
Right.
MoBA works on a similar principle. It divides the text into these blocks.
Okay.
And then it uses what's called a gating network,
Okay.
which is essentially like a smart filter to select the most relevant blocks to actually process.
So it's almost like it's predicting like which parts of the text are going to be most important, informative.
Yes.
Before it even analyzes them.
Precisely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then once it's figured out, okay, these are the key blocks, it then applies those traditional attention mechanisms, but only within those selected sections.
I see.
And so by doing that, it dramatically reduces the computational burden.
Oh, wow.
Making the whole process much faster, especially for these super long pieces of text.
So it's not just like brute force speed.
No.
It's like a strategic approach to like how it's processing information.
Exactly.
That's incredible. So this must have some pretty impressive results then.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So in their experiments, the researchers found that MoBA could maintain really impressive performance, even with what's called a sparsity level of up to 95%.
Okay.
Meaning that it was only looking at like 5% of the original text.
Wow. Talk about finding a needle in a haystack.
That's it.
Wow. Okay. So how does this actually translate into like real world applications? Did they put MoBA to the test on any like practical tasks?
Oh, yeah, they did. And the results were pretty remarkable. One of the benchmarks they used was, it was called the needle in a haystack task.
Oh, wow.
Where they basically fed the model this massive amount of text, and then they asked it to find like a specific piece of information hidden within.
Oh, okay. So like finding that one relevant paragraph in like a sea of documentation?
Exactly.
That sounds like a pretty good test of like how well MoBA can handle those super long contexts.
Yeah, exactly. And MoBA totally excelled, demonstrating that ability to like pinpoint that crucial information, even within like a million tokens of text.
Wow.
But what's even more exciting is that it didn't just, perform well, it actually like improved the learning process itself.
Okay, so this might get a little technical, but I remember you mentioned like this challenge of sparse gradients during fine-tuning. How does MoBA like address that?
Yeah, so, traditional attention can sometimes struggle when only like small portions of the text are really relevant for learning.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like if you can imagine trying to learn a recipe from a cookbook, but only like a few words on each page are highlighted.
Right.
MoBA, with its, focus block selection, it kind of gives the model like a more concentrated, a more meaningful context for learning.
So instead of getting like lost in all the noise, it's like the model's being given like a clear path, a direct path to that most important information.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So does this mean that MoBA could actually lead to like more efficient training, like maybe even needing less data to get good results?
That's a really interesting question, and it's definitely something researchers are looking into. The potential for MoBA to improve training efficiency, it's pretty high,
Yeah,
which could, make these powerful models more accessible and less computationally expensive.
that would be huge.
Yeah,
But of course, like no technology is perfect. What about like, are there any downsides, any limitations to this kind of block-based approach?
sure.
Could it miss, subtle nuances or connections that a full attention model might catch?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. For tasks that require like an extremely granular understanding of the text, that traditional full attention might still have a bit of an edge, but it's important to remember that this research, it's still early days.
So there's plenty of room to like grow and improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also curious about like this hybrid approach we kind of touched on earlier. Can you talk a little bit more about how combining MoBA with full attention could actually lead to even better results?
Yeah. So basically, there are two main hybrid strategies that they looked at. One is using MOBA for the majority of the training and then switching to full attention like towards the end.
Okay,
So this basically leverages, MOBA's efficiency for that initial learning and then uses full attention to really like fine tune that model.
gotcha. So you're kind of like starting with that broad overview and then you're zooming in on the finer details.
Exactly.
Okay, what about that second strategy?
The second strategy, which is what's called the layer-wise hybrid. That one keeps the final layers of the model as full attention while using MOBA for like the earlier layers.
Uh-huh.
This kind of takes advantage of MOBA's speed for like that initial processing and then uses full attention to really capture those, more subtle relationships in those final stages.
So you're essentially just tailoring the attention mechanism to the specific needs of each stage of that process.
Exactly.
It's a pretty powerful combination. Do we have any like real-world examples of this hybrid approach, like actually in action?
Yeah, the researchers implemented MOBA in the Llama 3.18b base model,
Okay.
and by incorporating MOBA, they were able to achieve some really impressive results on several different benchmarks,
Okay.
including that needle in a haystack task we were talking about before.
That's quite a feat considering how massive those data sets were.
Yeah.
But besides performance, what about speed? I mean, did MOBA actually deliver on its promise of faster processing?
It totally did. They saw speed increases of up to like 6.5 times, for 1 million tokens, and a really amazing 16 times faster for 10 million tokens.
Wow.
Meaning that tasks that might have taken, hours or even days can now be completed in minutes.
That's wild. You know, I know we've been focusing mainly on like textual data, but LLMs they're being used for way more than just text now. We're seeing models that can understand images, audio, even video.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the implications of MOBA for these like multimodal applications?
That's a great question. I mean, the potential for MOBA in those multimodal scenarios is huge. Imagine a model that can efficiently, analyze a documentary, taking into account not just the spoken words,
Right.
but also like the visual imagery, the background music.
Like it could revolutionize fields like video analysis, content creation, even scientific research.
Absolutely.
We could analyze experiments, historical footage, like even social media trends in ways that were just never before possible.
Exactly. I mean, the ability to process and understand information from multiple sources
Yeah,
in this really fast and efficient way,
right.
it opens up so many possibilities.
This is starting to feel like something out of science fiction, but in a really good way.
It is.
But as with any powerful technology, we gotta think about the potential pitfalls.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, as LLMs become more and more capable, the importance of using them responsibly, it just grows exponentially. We need to make sure these technologies are used ethically and for the benefit of everyone.
It's a conversation that we can't ignore. So let's maybe shift gears a little bit and really delve into those ethical considerations, the potential challenges that come with this level of AI advancement. So I've been really exploring this incredible potential of MOBA and how it's like, really changing the game for LLMs,
Uh-huh.
making them able to handle like huge amounts of information, opening up all these possibilities in all kinds of fields.
Yeah.
But like with any really powerful tool, I think we gotta address the ethical concerns
Absolutely.
around, having this kind of advanced AI.
Yeah, it's a conversation we can't really avoid, right? I mean,
Right.
as these LLMs get more capable, the potential for misuse or for even just unintended consequences, it grows too, So it's really important to consider these challenges early on and make sure we're developing and using these things responsibly.
I completely agree. We've already seen some examples, right, of AI systems that are, showing bias or being used in ways that are, ethically questionable.
Yeah.
So how do we like mitigate those risks, especially with something as powerful as these MoBA enhanced
Well,
LLMs?
transparency is a really big one.
Yeah,
Understanding how these models actually work, being able to audit, their decision-making processes,
right.
identifying any potential biases in the data that they're trained on.
Yeah,
Those are all like really critical steps.
yeah.
And then on top of that, having clear guidelines for ethical use, promoting open discussions about the potential risks and fostering like a collaboration
Hmm.
between researchers, developers,
All the
policymakers.
stakeholders,
Yeah,
everybody.
it's a multifaceted thing that really requires everyone working together.
It's a group effort for sure. We can't just focus on all the amazing capabilities,
But
without also thinking about the possible downsides, right?
exactly.
So for our listener, for someone who's really interested in understanding this technology, what are the key takeaways?
Uh-huh.
What are the things they should keep in mind as we all move forward into this new era of AI?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that MoBA is a real breakthrough. It's really pushing the limits of what LLMs can do. It's paving the way for faster, more efficient, more capable AI systems.
Hmm.
But, this power comes with responsibility. We got to make sure that we're developing and deploying it ethically.
We need to be, thinking about the potential impact it could have on society. Making sure that these technologies are actually being used for good,
Yeah.
that they're promoting fairness, and they're not, making existing inequalities even worse.
Exactly. It's all about striking that balance, embracing the potential, but also mitigating those risks.
Yeah.
And that requires, ongoing dialogue, critical thinking, commitment to doing things the right way.
This deep dive has been it's been amazing,
It has.
to say the least. MOBA really feels like a turning point
Uh-huh.
in the evolution of AI. I think it's clear we're just starting to see what it can do.
Yeah, the future of AI, it's full of incredible promise and also some big challenges, but by staying informed, engaged, asking the tough questions, we can all play a role in shaping a future where these really powerful technologies are being used to make things better for everyone.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the really technical stuff about MOBA to those broader ethical questions. If there's one thing our listeners should take away from this whole deep dive, it's that the future of AI, it's not set in stone.
Nope.
It's being shaped right now. It's a future we can all help build.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop asking those questions. The AI journey, it's just getting started, and it's a journey we're all on, together.
I love that. And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of MOBA. We hope you found it insightful, engaging, and until next time, keep diving deep into the world of knowledge and technology.